Hey friends, welcome to the 37th episode of the 37th. Welcome to the 36th episode of the Sunday Knitting Society podcast. My name is Chelsea and I'm a knitter in Oklahoma City. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're coming back, welcome back. I hope you guys have had a good few weeks. I've had a really good few weeks since last time. Also, Happy New Year. A little late, but better late than never, right? So I'm so glad to be back. It feels a little weird. I have a list because, y'all, a lot has happened. It's been 3 weeks. I think it's been 3 weeks. A lot has happened, and I'm afraid I'm going to forget things if I don't make a list. I also feel slightly out of practice, so that's fun. It's gonna take me a minute to get back in the swing of things. Last time, I think I podcasted the week before Christmas. I think that sounds right. Yeah, since then I have paid off my student loans. Oh, I forgot. I was gonna get a party hat and I forgot. Oh well. Yeah, so that was a fun story in and of itself. I do not get drunk very often. That's probably a great way to start this story. But I got drunk the day after Christmas. Actually, I really wasn't fully intending to. I just hadn't had alcohol in so long that it hit me a lot faster than I thought it would. But my plan had been that morning, the day after Christmas, to pay off my student loans. There was a little bit of a snag, and it looked like I wasn't actually going to be able to do that for a few days, which was annoying to me. So I hadn't made my final payment. It was evening, had a little bit too much to drink, and I get an email from my student loan servicer saying, "Congratulations, your student loans are paid off." So panic, and I was like, oh my goodness, did it get forgiven? And so I logged in and I still have a balance. So I was very confused, but I was like, obviously I'm not going to call them right now. It's the day after Christmas and I'm not in my right state of mind. So I waited actually a couple days and then called them, and the person I talked to was so confused, and they're like, oh yeah, it got forgiven. Then why is there a balance? And why is the balance the one I expect to see? Because I've been making payments. So they had to go and pull like my records, and he looked at it and goes, oh, that was just you making those payments. Yep, I've all year I've been making those payments. And he was like, so my loans were consolidated, but I guess they still split apart the subsidized and the unsubsidized. So I had gotten a letter saying that one of them had been paid off, but the balance was from the other. So I didn't actually get any forgiveness, but it was like, for a moment there, I was just like, oh, this is awesome. And it wasn't. It still is. I'm still done. I'm absolutely done with student loan debt. It feels amazing. It hasn't fully set in because I used my last paycheck to do that, and so I'm still waiting for the next one to hit. I think once the next paycheck comes in, it'll really feel like it, and it comes in really close to my birthday, so it's gonna be just a big party. But it's definitely a huge weight lifted. When I actually got the email that I had actually paid off my student loans, I immediately started crying. Which, I'm a crier. I have a very narrow window where I don't cry. But yeah, it was like instant. And for like the next couple hours, anytime I thought about it, I started crying. So it's a good feeling. If you are on that same journey, you can do it. Just keep going. It'll get paid off eventually, and you'll get to feel that good. Anyway, so yeah, that was 9 years of my life. Done. which is very exciting. The other very exciting thing is I did the Dopey Challenge at Disney World. I actually have my medal. Okay, they make really cool medals for these races, but look at my little Dopey Challenge medal. And ready for it? Oh, you can't, I don't know if you'll see it in this lighting, but his little, oh, there you go. His little gems light up, like right here where he's holding them. It's kind of cool. So it's also very heavy. And another fun little thing is it's Velcro. I've never seen one of those before, but yeah, I'm gonna do that. I ran my Dopey Challenge. It was a blast. It was so fun. This is actually not a very comfortable thing to wear. So my friend Jennifer and I flew out there on the 3rd and spent a stupid amount of time at the expo. Like, we got our, first of all, Disney knows how to make you walk. My goodness. When we got there, it really wasn't very crowded. Like, it wasn't that bad, but it was at the ESPN Center. I've never been there before then, but they basically, instead of just letting you walk in, you have to walk all the way to the back and then all the way around the stadium to get in. And then you have to walk all the way to the other end to pick up your bibs, and then all the way to the other end to pick up your t-shirts. And then you shop. And then if you want Disney merchandise, you have to get in a virtual queue for that, which thankfully my friend put us in there as we were walking towards the expo. So by the time we got done with the expo, we were at the front of the virtual queue, which was great. So we did, I should have gotten my marathon shirt, but I got a mug that says Disney Marathon Weekend. I'll be honest, I wasn't, like, I feel like they could up their merchandise game significantly. There are a lot of things that were like, yeah, I'm good. And if you are a fan of a Spirit jersey, more power to you. I don't get them. They look uncomfortable and they are outrageously expensive for a long sleeves t-shirt. But anyway, so we did that, and then we did a park day. But by the time we got to the park, it was already like late afternoon. And so we kind of, this wasn't the smartest thing we did, but we stayed out fairly late the first night, considering you have to make it to the buses by 4 to get bused to the start of the race. And so I think we woke up at like 3:30. Yeah, 3:30 the next morning, and it was rough. And it's Eastern time. We're used to Central time, so to us 3:30 felt like 2:30, which I wake up early normally, but even that was like, that was offensive. And we got to the buses at like 4:17 and found out that the last bus actually leaves at 4:15. But I think on day one they were expecting some stragglers, and so they had like the slowpoke bus. So we got there, and then you stayed in the corral for an hour before you get to go anyway. So it's like, you're not going to be late. The only people who are going to be late are like the people in a corral who are super fast. But it was really fun. The energy was fantastic. Like, people were in full costume. I mean, for the 5Ks, really for all the races, but especially the 5K, there were just tons of people in like outrageous costumes. And they were interviewing people, and there was some really sweet, touching stories. There's one lady who had just been diagnosed with breast cancer, and she was doing the dopey, and so after every race she was going and having radiation, and said that the race was something she could control and something that gave her joy, and so she was doing it, making me want to cry even thinking about it. I cried a lot in the corrals waiting to run. There was also one guy, this was actually, I think it was the marathon day, they were interviewing him, and he runs with his daughter and has for like the last 10 years. And he's like, I don't like running. And And they asked him, or when he started, he hated running. They're like, has your opinion changed on running? Do you like running now? And he goes, or do you still hate running? I think is what she asked him. And he said, only when I'm doing it. And I was like, yep, that's about right. I hate it when I'm doing it sometimes. Love it when I'm done. But yeah, so the 5K and the 10K I actually PR'd on because I was just so pumped and like ready to go, and it was so fun. You can stop along the course and take pictures with different characters, but the lines are outrageously long, especially for the 5K because they don't time that one. And so you finish when you finish. I think one of the characters, there had to have been 100 people in line to take pictures with this character. It's wild. I did not stop and take pictures of anybody until the marathon. But after the 10K, we stayed out a little too late that night, or I think that night was the first night we were like, okay, we've actually got to sleep. My feet were also killing me. Nothing else hurt, just the bottoms of my feet. And it was because we stood in so many lines in Disney World after the races. So we kind of started shifting our strategy a little bit. So we found rides where you could sit down for longer. And we started doing rides where we didn't have to wait in line. So we booked lightning lanes. And so if we couldn't get a lightning lane and it was more than 30 minutes of waiting, we weren't doing it. And I think that really helped. The other thing we did is after the half and the full, we basically like chilled out for like 3 hours in the hotel and just stayed off our feet. And that really, really helped. Because otherwise, like, I mean, we were joking, like, this was such a fun weekend aside from all the pain. And it was mostly for me in my feet. But so the half marathon did get shortened because of weather. Neither of us were mad about that. So I only had to run 7 miles instead of 13. We made up for it in the park, so I don't feel bad about it at all. And then, yeah, the marathon was awesome. The first few miles, I was feeling really tired, and I was kind of starting to question how I was gonna finish it. I wasn't really hurting that bad. I was just tired, like my muscles were tired. And then it started raining hard at mile 5, and rained hard for about 2 miles, to the point that like I had my eyes half shut because I was like, it was raining into my face. Everything got soaked. My shoes were literally squelching as I stepped. And I joked on Instagram, but it's not, it's for real. Vaseline was my friend. that whole race weekend, I slathered my feet in an obscene amount of Vaseline before I put my socks on, and that saved me from getting blisters. So, little tip there. It actually, yeah, my feet didn't get that waterlogged either because there's like a nice protective layer. But I felt good at the end. I finished running. I finished strong. I felt really good. I cried when I finished the marathon. And it was comical because it was like, I feel amazing. I feel so good. I crossed the finish line and I started walking and it was like, whoo, everything hurts. Like, it just hit me very suddenly, like how badly I hurt. And it was funny because there were people all around me who very clearly felt the same way. Like, one lady had a banana in her hand and dropped it, and she was just looking at the ground. And one of the volunteers was like, I'll get it. You don't need to bend. But yeah, it was super fun. I was really hoping that my marathon experience would be so miserable that I would be like done for life. It was actually really fun. I don't think I'll do one in the next year just because I need a break from that much training. But maybe in my future I'll do another marathon. Ooh, I've told myself that. I knew I would do this. I absolutely knew I would do this. This happens every time. I think this is why everyone runs multiple marathons, or people who run multiple. This is why they do it. It's because the race itself is so much fun, you forget how much the training sucks. And then you give yourself some time and you get back into it and you're like, oh, this sucks. But I'll probably do it again. I might even do the dopey again. Who knows? It was fun. I will not do it next year though. I am going to run, Oklahoma City has the Memorial Marathon every April and they have a half. So I think I am going to run the half because I think that's my preferred distance. But yeah, I have to say a huge thank you to you guys, to everybody who cheered me on and gave me encouragement. You guys are amazing. My friend Jennifer was actually, I was telling her some of the comments on Instagram and she was just like, man, knitters are the nicest people. I was like, they are the best. So I loved all your comments. I tried to respond to a bunch of them, but honestly, there were times I was just like, I'm so tired. I was just like. But I appreciate it. You guys really help encourage me. So thank you for that. I think that's all the life update. I probably should have done that at the end. Sorry, if you were expecting knitting from the jump, today isn't your day. Oh yeah. So I have a lot of knitting for today, guys. Like a lot. This is gonna be a long video. I forgot. So actually the day after the marathon, we flew out that day, but we didn't have to fly out till the afternoon, thankfully. But I woke up and I was just like, something's wrong. I caught a stomach bug. I actually think I caught the flu. I forget, flu B, I think has more GI stuff. I had fevers, chills, body aches, nausea, vomiting, GI, ugh, it was awful. Thankfully, Jennifer did not get sick. I actually thought it was food poisoning at first, but it lasted for about 3 days, which is a little long for food poisoning. So I'm feeling 100% back to normal. But it really isn't fun when you're like, I was already kind of dehydrated after the 4-day race, and then to not be able to keep anything down. I was basically sipping Sprite and eating crackers the whole day. Actually, we were very fortunate. We got to fly back home first class. And so we got access to the airport lounge. And so I was just getting a big cup of Sprite, and I was taking it on the plane with me because they weren't going to give me Sprite until, like, I knew there would be a period of time where I wouldn't have any Sprite. And the last flight I got on, the guy was the gate agent who's like, that's water, right? I was like, it's Sprite. I promise there's no alcohol in it. Please let me take this on the flight. And he did. But yeah, that was a miserable flight. Both of them. We had a connection. I was so sore. My hips were just aching. And I think that was more from the bug than anything. But so miserable. I slept. Like, it's so annoying in hindsight because that was perfect knitting environment. A perfect knitting environment. I had 5 hours of flying time in a first class seat. Like, that, I had room. I could knit. I slept. I literally slept. It was like 5 hours. I slept. I'm good at sleeping on planes to begin with. I joke that I'm a narcoleptic on planes. But yeah, pretty much as soon as I got in my seat, I was out. I actually fell asleep holding my Sprite in my lap, and I didn't spill it. I've done that a few times actually. But yeah, thankfully back to normal. I've got my water here. I'm hydrating. And I feel like that has passed, thankfully. But I knit a lot during Betwixtmas. I did not get all, I had like 10 things on my list that I wanted to do. I got 6 of them done, which I was pretty proud of that. So the first one was my Legome sweater. So this was a test knit I did for Samantha Guerin. And it is available now. It is delightful. So it's really cold here today, which is why I'm wearing mohair next to skin. I think it's like 17 degrees outside. We're getting our little Arctic snap. I knit mine in triple stranded. I did 1 strand of soft silk mohair from Knitting for Olive, and then 2 strands of the compatible cashmere from Knitting for Olive, excuse me. And they were both in the powder colorway. And you guys, this halo, I don't know, oh, I hope you can see that. There we go. It's got this delicious halo on it. It is like wearing a cloud. It is so soft. This is a really unique construction, I think. Well, I don't know if it's unique. It's different than what I've done before. So it's a saddle shoulder, but it's like drop shoulder, saddle shoulder kind of thing. So very, very cool. And then I don't know if you'll be able to see this. So, okay. I don't know if you can see that really, but you actually cast on with the collar, which I appreciate because I hate picking up collars. But you do, I think it's called an alternating cable cast on, which I'd never done before. And it basically gives you a tubular cast on. It's so easy. It's a little fiddly, but like, it's still way easier than a tubular cast on for me. And so I was really, really pleased with that. Yeah. And then you've got this little loose cable that is immediately memorizable. And yeah, so you work, forget exactly what, I think you work it in the round for a while, and then you go flat, and then you join in the round and knit it to the length you want, then you come back and pick up the shoulder or the sleeves. I didn't do any sleeve shaping, mine is just straight. I did use a smaller needle for my cuffs, and look how long my ribbing is. 3 full inches of ribbing. But yeah, so this fits really nice. It's a little long, but that's how I like it. I actually don't think it's long. It's just, this wouldn't be something I'd wear over a dress. You could French tuck it if you like. I don't love how French tucking looks on me, so I don't French tuck. So I think it's technically supposed to be a mock neck, but mine tends to kind of pull, which I don't mind. Before I blocked this, I did not like the fit of it because it was just doing like that, and it really wasn't flattering. But now when it's blocked, it actually fits really nice. And I do not feel like I'm being choked by it at all. It's just really nice. I think if the weather were warmer, the mohair would be too itchy for me. I'd have to wear a layer underneath it, but right now it's so cold. It feels great. I don't heat my house a lot in the winter. I mean, I'm a knitter. I got woolies. I'll add a layer. But yeah, so you should definitely check this out. I don't know if I've said this before. Samantha does such a good job on this pattern. Like, I think this was the most clearly written pattern I think I've ever knit. It was just intuitive. She has little notes in there to help you stay on track and remember where you are, like in the cable pattern. This is the first pattern I've ever knit of hers, and it was phenomenal. Like, she has a skill for writing very, very clearly understood knitting patterns. That was a weird way of saying that. A very easy to understand knitting patterns. So yeah, that was my first goal. My second goal was to finish my Advent socks. And you guys ready to see how much I screwed up my Woolens and Nosh Advent socks? Oh, and I've worn them. They're covered in dog hair. There's no getting that out. Okay, so this is what they were supposed to look like. Oh, sorry friends, tornado alarms. They're the testers. I'll be back. All right, we're back. Okay, so the dog hair on these is ridiculous. So this is what these socks are supposed to look like. So there's 12 stripes, 1 day for every day of Advent. You start with like this really pretty like navy blue. I worked through all these greens, more blues, purples. This was like my favorite section. I think this like rosy pink is like my favorite color in the whole thing. Sorry, so much hair on these. And then, yeah, and I chose to do contrasting toes, heels, and cuff. So she gives them to you in 2 pre-wound balls with the tails coming out of a bag, so you don't ever have to see this. I grabbed the wrong end for my second sock, so this is what sock number 2 looks like. So I realized pretty quickly that I did something wrong, and then I realized that I was going to spoil the colors about halfway through, and it was almost at the halfway point between the two. So it's kind of funny how like this one actually ended up starting with a little bit of the cream at the top. You can kind of see it a little bit. So it's just funny. I actually really like them. I think I like inverted socks. So these are my Woolens and Nosh 2023 Advent socks, and they're so squishy and lovely. I wanted to wear them today, but I wanted to show them, and it's hard to, you know, show them when they're on your foot. So that was my second FO of Betwixtmas. Woo! I think actually technically I finished this before Betwixtmas. I just couldn't block it till my parents were gone. So the third thing that I finished during Betwixtmas took me a lot longer than I thought it would, and that is my Gala Scarf. And I think partly the reason it took me longer than I thought it would was because I accidentally added another repeat. This thing is so long. I definitely added an extra repeat on accident. I did block it because this gray yarn smelled horrible. It still doesn't smell great, but what I did was before I folded it up and stored it, I sprayed some of my favorite perfume on it, which I've heard you're technically not supposed to do because of the oils and stuff, but I thought, you know, I'm not gonna make it smell worse. So I did block this, and it grew. So it is now like 8 feet long. I could triple wrap this if I wanted to. But yeah, so it is squishy and warm and delightful. I don't know about the colors. Yeah, as I've like finished it, I really like this color and I really like this color, but I don't know that I love them together. But it's too late. It's done. It's not gonna get pulled out and redone. But I do think this is like, you could keep it like this and put it under a coat. You could extra wrap it and tuck it and be all snuggly and warm. Sorry, that like really brings out my double chins. Let's not do that. But yeah, it's very, I'm obviously not the person to go to learn how to wear your scarves. I'm also not trying super hard. But yeah, this did take quite a bit of time. I was just like powering through it, like, we will finish this, we will finish this. And then it took a solid 3 days to dry, partly because it didn't fit on the guest bed, and so I couldn't get a fan on it, so it was just on the floor. It literally went almost wall to wall in my guest room. It was long, but it is very warm and squishy, and it is a very simple pattern to follow. It's very intuitive. It's one of those like watch TV and knit kind of thing. So it does, I mean, it takes a decent amount of yarn. It took almost 2 balls. So this I keep wanting to call it cream, but it's not. It's really more of like a light gray or grayish. This was Harrisville Daylights in the Chirp colorway, which when I actually got it like wet, I could see the blue a whole lot more. Once it's dried, I don't see it as much, but it is a blue toned beige. And then the raspberry color is Sandra Yarn Sunday 4-ply, and it is Sunday Kind of Love. And I used almost 2 balls of this, not the full 2 balls, and then I used, like, I just dipped into the 3rd ball of this one. So if I had done it shorter, I wouldn't have needed the 3rd ball of this, because I think I only used it on this last little section, which I wouldn't have had if I'd have followed the directions. But it is done. So that was the 3rd FO. Now this other one doesn't really count as an FO, but I'm gonna count it as an FO. So this is one I actually finished over a year ago, but then I didn't like the cuffs, so I never wore it. So I have fixed the cuffs on my Monday sweater. Woohoo! I've actually worn this, which is why it's kind of wrinkly. I wore it to Disney World. I wore it on the plane. So this is the cuff I had to just fully reknit, and you can tell there's a different color or dye lot between the two. But yeah, so I had tried to Kitchener, it didn't work, so I just got an extra ball of yarn and just knit the cuff. I did do a tubular bind off. This one I was absolutely determined I was not going to knit another cuff. So I Kitchenered, and it's not my best work. You can definitely, it's a bit of a Frankenstein, but I don't care. And honestly, no one has noticed it, because everybody I wear this around aren't knitters, and so they don't care. No one has commented on the color blocking either. So just in case you're self-conscious about your knits, if you're wearing them around people who don't knit, they're probably not going to see the flaws that you see. So it is very comfortable. I wore this, like I said, I wore this on the airplane to Disney World. But then I didn't wear it after then because I really felt like being in sweats. So that's what I wore on the way home. I wish I brought it, man. I got this super cute sweatshirt at Disney World of Minnie Mouse in a rocket. I love it so much. That's what I wore for most of, or 2 of my park days. So my feet hurt pretty bad, and I made a mistake with shoes. This is another tip if you're going to do this insanity. Bring a different pair of tennis shoes than your running tennis shoes to walk in the parks. I had 3 pairs of running tennis shoes because I'm OCD like that. But I thought, oh, I'll just rotate those and wear them in the park. But your feet don't want to be in those shoes anymore. And so the only other pair of shoes that I brought with me that were walkable were Birkenstocks. But I brought my newer ones that aren't fully broken in yet, so I had to wear socks with them. So I literally had a fanny pack, which I was wearing crossbody. I had my Minnie Mouse rocket sweatshirt, I had sweatpants, and I had Birkenstocks with socks. I was like, I look like a great tourist dad right now. But I don't know where that story came from. Sorry, guys. Okay, so that I had one more FO, but I was fixing cuffs on a test knit that's secret, so I can't show that yet. Soon I can show that, and you guys, it's pretty cool. But let's see. Okay, I have one more thing that I finished in my checklist, but I'm gonna show it in my whips. So I just feel like showing this. It's not even a whip yet, it's a swatch. But I swatched for, oh crap, now I can't remember. I think it's the Storm Sweater by PetiteKnit with this lovely heavy merino from Knitting for Olive. I don't remember the color. This is the only one like this they have. I'm calling it Cookie Monster, but I just really, so I had bought this yarn with the idea that I'd make a Moby sweater, but then I didn't feel like making a Moby sweater. And I just decided when, like right before I left, actually, I was like, I'm gonna swatch. Actually, I think it was in the middle of the slog of the Gallus. I was like, forget this, I need to do a swatch. And I like, it's funny to me how you see it, something enough, and when you first see it, you're like, ooh, no. And the more you see it, you're like, yeah, okay, I like that. When I first saw the storm sweater, I was like, that's not my style. Nope, no thank you. The more I see it, I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I want that. And I hadn't really looked at it super carefully, so I bought the pattern, and then I was looking at the chart. It's all knits and purls. I thought it would have, like, with this thing, I thought that would be a cable, but it's not. It's knits and purls, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I swatched this. I haven't actually measured it yet. I blocked it. I haven't measured it. So I need to do that. But I really like the fabric it gives, and I think I used the recommended needle size. So actually, I feel like I did block this, and I think I was a little bit bigger. So I'll just go down a size. So that is gonna happen at some point. This just seems like a very, like this seems like a good color for me, and it seems like a cheerful winter color. Okay, so I have several whips, things that I worked on that were on my list but didn't get finished. So this one got the least amount of work because I was just not motivated. So this is my garter stitch blanket that I'm knitting out of Moonglow yarns, out of a set from them. I think I got like 5 rows in the light pink. I didn't feel like it. I had, because the Gallus is garter stitch, and I was just like, a garter stitch in a shorter row. This is a much longer row and a smaller needle, and it just felt like I was never getting anywhere. I did find, it's not a documentary on one quilt, it was more like on multiple different ones, and like each one was an episode. And normally I love those, but it was really depressing me. So it was just making me really sad. So I had to stop watching it. But I didn't find anything else that was like gripping. And so I didn't knit very much on this one. This one probably got the least amount of work. One that did get more work, and I don't think I've showed this in a long time. I might have showed it before, like when I was talking about what I wanted to work on, but before then I don't know that I showed it. So this is my Auntie's cowl, which is a pattern by Candice English. That name, I sounded like I was saying that wrong, but I wasn't. From the Farmer's Daughter's Fibers. And this is going to be an infinity cowl. I have to complete, so you go from, let's see. So in between these is, so from here down is 1 repeat, so I have to do 3 repeats. I did screw up this top row. You can tell the little dark blips were supposed to be 1 over, but I wasn't paying attention to the pattern and I realized it up here, and I was not about to pull back and fix that. So this does take a little bit more, like, this is not mindless knitting for me. For those of you who can do like color work mindlessly, awesome. I can't. And it is low contrast, and so it's definitely one that I have to like pay attention to, but I am enjoying it. This was a kit that is no longer available because I think the yarn I used for it was a limited edition like yak, and it's nice. It's so nice. I really want to finish this one just because I think this is gonna feel amazing around my neck, but I need to do it. Also looking, man, my stitches on this first half were very lumpy. It's a lot better since I was doing the first part of this two-handed. And it's the first time I'd tried that, and that is not how I like to knit color work. I was just, there's some spots like this, it's really hard to see on here actually because it's so low contrast, but this section, it's like 1 by 1. And I knit English, and so I would like knit one, drop it, pick up the other one, knit one, drop it, pick up, and so it just takes a long time. So I was trying to do it two-handed, but my tension is just so all over the place. And I know if I practice it, it'd get better, but I don't really want to. I'm very happy being an English knitter. But yeah, so that one got a little bit of work, and it'll keep getting work. Just need to buckle down and do it. Okay, then, oh, I forgot. So one of the ones that was on my list to do is my Legome Sweater, which is a petite knitter pattern. I didn't work on it even one stitch. I just did not have it in me. But I did work on, this is a bit unwieldy. This is my other Monday sweater by PetiteKnit. This one is in Hillesvåg Tinde. I'm trying to like make it to where you can see it. I'm still in the Raglan shaping. I really enjoy this. If it weren't for my main whip right now, which I'm going to show you guys in a minute, and it's amazing. If it weren't for that, this would be in the body. This is really enjoyable. This is probably going to be my next like main whip, just because this yarn is delightful. This is my happy place of top-down Raglan in stockinette. So, and this is going to be such a wearable sweater for me. I love this color on me. And it's woolly. It's gonna be so nice. Also, someone told me what this means. I actually looked it up afterward, but okay, sorry. Let's get this wrangled back in here. So, bon baiser, I don't know if I'm over Frenching that word, means good kisses. And I guess it was a store. Good kisses from Paris or of Paris. Oh, that's very sweet. I got this from Suzanne in like it came with something I ordered a few years ago. Okay. Ooh. I have two more whips. Yeah. And this one hasn't gotten much work on it. This was going to be my airplane knitting, and then I found something else I wanted to do instead. So I've gotten some on this. So this is my Christmas sock. It's a little late, just a little late. But I think this is also just a cute, like I like these colors. I don't think this is like overly Christmas. Like it doesn't scream, like you wouldn't look at this and be like, oh, you can't wear this any other time but Christmas. It's really, this is Nomadic Yarns. I love her stuff. So I guess I'll go ahead and get into this. I find it funny that everybody hates on resolutions. Like, I'm not a big resolution person just because I can't ever think of one on New Year's Eve. But I think part of the reason people don't like them is resolution sounds so final. And a lot of times you're really not thinking through what your resolution for the year is going to be until you get very close to the end of the year. And so you're making this final decision with very little planning. And so they fail, and then you feel like a failure. So I think doing goals is better, because if you don't meet a goal, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. You shift, you change your goal. So I have goals. If you'd like to call them resolutions, you can. I don't really have a lot of them. But one of them for this year is I would like to knit 12 pairs of socks this year. So one a month. I think that's totally doable. It is gonna mean that I have to spend more time working on socks than I normally do, but I might spend a little time this weekend. I have a long weekend, so maybe I'll do a little bit. It snowed a little earlier today, but it didn't stick. But it is cold, and we have like 100% chance of snow tomorrow. So I'll probably get snowed in the sense that I'll be smart and not leave my house. Oklahoma does not have the infrastructure to handle snowstorms. And so when people get out on the road, the conditions are not ideal and bad things happen. So we avoid driving. If possible, you just stay home, be comfy. I have all the groceries I need. I'm good. It's gonna stay inside. But I might work on this a little bit. I signed up for the Shop La Mercerie Year of Socks. I don't know what they call it, sock club. So you get, I'll just show you what I got. I'm just mixing in I only have 2 acquisitions, and this one I actually got last month, but I didn't want to give it away. So this was the first installment. Sorry, everyone should have gotten it by now, and I think she's shown it, so never mind. So this was the first installment of the sock club. I would say Year of Socks. This was January's. This is called Champagne Pop, and it is by Salty Blonde Fibers, who I've never used before, and this is soft. I also love that they give you a contrasting heel, because I really like contrasting heels, but it's also stellina. I don't know if you can really see that. I don't know if you can, but it is a 2-ply sock set, so I kind of wonder how well 2-ply is going to hold up with socks. But it does have nylon, so it's a 75-25, so 75 merino, 20 nylon, 5 stellina, and it's 438 yards, so it's got some distance in it, and then an 87 yard mini. I don't think this is going to be I think the Christmas sock is going to be my January sock, but I guess we'll see what next month's installment is. But what I was kind of thinking, where'd it go? I have this sock set I got from Woolly Mammoth that's like very woolly. This is her hearth sock, and I love this brown, like caramely color. And so I think I might actually use this as my, like, instead of doing this guy, I might make this one just to have, excuse me, a really warm woolly sock. But yeah, that's one of my goals for the year, is to knit 12 pairs of socks, because I have started I don't normally wear socks around my house. I'm normally barefoot, but this winter is quite cold, and because I'm not heating my house a whole lot, if I walk around barefoot, my feet are numb. So I've started wearing socks around my house, and I initially was wearing just white cotton socks that I run in, because they're cheap, and if I get them dirty, I can throw them in the wash, no big deal. They're not as warm as wool socks. So I just have a little basket where I put all my dirty wool socks, and then I'll just, I guess every couple weeks I will do a load of socks. I'll just soak them all in a tub and air dry them. Okay. All right, you guys, I have 1 acquisition left, but I'll show that at the end. I have 1 whip left, and I haven't shown it. This is new. You guys have never seen this. I did that on purpose because this project is giving me so much joy. I can't contain it. It's amazing. So one of my goals during Betwixtmas was to finish a spin that I had started back in February of 2023. So I actually had to go look up when I started it, and I started it February 24th. Last year I signed up for the Nest Fibers Valentine's Advent. So you would get a little bump of fiber every day from the 1st of February to the 14th. And I've talked about this before, but when I first opened them, I was very disappointed because I am like a diehard pink and red Valentine's girl. And these were multicolored. Like there was green, and I was like, green is not Valentine's. Why is there green in my Valentine's Advent? And so I got really discouraged at first, and I actually didn't initially spin up any of it. And then I decided to split every little sample into 4 sections and put them in 4 separate bags, and then just randomly end to end spin, apply. And then when I finished all 4 bags, then I would ply them together. It is so good. It is so good. Somebody brought up, okay, I'll just show you actually. So this is one of my skeins. Come on, get out of the way. Look at that. Somebody mentioned that it looks like conversation hearts, and that is spot on for me. Like that, and it is so Valentine's. It's just a different, but I mean, it's pinks and greens and blues and yellows and oranges and reds, and I love it so much. So these were the last 2 that I've washed these and skeined them up. So this one has a little bit more like reds and blues in it. Come on, face. These look more consistently DK, but my other skeins, I get down to like fingering, which I'm proud of because I am not a real consistent spinner. I'm getting better. But the best I've ever been able to get before this was sport weight. So I definitely have some like segments of fingering. So I'm getting there. But I was using a Nitty Naughty to kind of estimate my yardage as I went. And I ended up within the realm. So I thought, like best case scenario, I'm gonna get 4 skeins of this yarn in like a DK to worsted, and I'm gonna do like a shawl, which I think was part of the reason I wasn't as excited about this, because I don't generally wear a lot of shawls. I like them, but I don't wear a ton of them, and so I don't really knit a ton of them. And so it's kind of like I'm putting all this effort into yarn that I'm not even gonna get to use for something I'm gonna wear. But as I was doing my calculations, I realized I had over 1,600 yards of this stuff in like a sport to DK. And I was like, I can knit a sweater. I can make a sweater out of this. So let me actually show you one of them I have caked up, because I think it looks so, I mean, look at that. Y'all, it's so pretty. So I ended up with 5 skeins of this, and partly that's because I was like, they're not all the same weight. I just, yeah, I don't remember why that is. But anyway, so I think yeah, so I filled up a bobbin, and some bobbins were more tightly filled than others, but and this is living in a very appropriate bag because I took it with me to the races. I got that in Italy, and it just makes me happy. But this, okay, y'all. I'm knitting a sweater. This is I'm doing the Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie Maed Designs. And you guys, like, I was sold at the collar. And then, oh my gosh, it's just like, look, I love it. I feel like a Weasley member, like Weasley family member. Like, it's just, oh, it literally, it's so soft. Like, oh my gosh, it just, it's soft. And then, like, this was random. There was no plan in this. Oh, I hope you guys can appreciate how amazing this is. So the Cozy Classic is for a DK, and since some of my yarn does run a little thinner, I actually went down a needle size, and I've been trying this on and it fits. It is a little bit snugger than my size would have normally fit, but I've actually just started, I have like 1 inch of the ribbing done, and that is the first 2 skeins. That's how far it went, which is nuts to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back today and knit. I'm gonna see if I can do a whole sleeve in one day. And then once my sleeves are done, I'll try it on and figure out how much more ribbing I want to do. I ended up taking a sick day the day after I got back, just because the nausea was like out of control. And I was so tired, but if I wasn't sleeping, I was working on this. I was just sitting on my couch knitting and watching TV. I love it. I love like the thick thin. I love that it looks handmade. I love that it's bright and colorful. I hope next podcast I'm wearing this. I really hope that's the case. But this has just literally, it's like, it's like knitting stripes with spin cycle, I feel like, where every stripe you're just like, what's the next color? What's the next color? This is just like, it's stripes on its own. And it also just absolutely blows my mind that each ply was fully random. I did not try to color match at all, and yet I still get stripes. Like, I still have sections. Like, this one is a big section of just like reds. And like, I didn't plan that. That just happened. That's like so cool to me. I was really worried that this would come out looking like brown. Like, it would just be muddy and brown. So the fact that it isn't is just blows me away. So, I forgot, I have one area on here I screwed up and I need to remember to go back. Yeah, it's right here. I have like, it's barely holding on by a thread, so I just need to duplicate that one. But yeah, so this is my Cozy Classic hand spun. Like, also, last year, 2 years ago? 2 years ago, yeah. I was in the Nest Fiber monthly club, and I got some fiber that was like, it's called Pinata, and I loved it so much. I calculated what I thought I would need to knit, to spin a sweater's quantity. And now that I've made a sweater's quantity, I think I got twice as much as I need. I got so much. Like, I'm gonna end up with 2 sweaters in that. But I'm gonna have extra from this. Like, I still have 3 full skeins, and all I really have to do are sleeves. So that's just fantastic. But so this is what I'll be working on today, and it's so soft. I actually have no idea what the fiber is. I think it's superwash merino, or at least it's just merino. But it's been so long, I have no idea what the fiber content was. But I'm very, very happy with this. So that's today's big project. Okay. And then I have, okay, so that's all for my whips. Should probably put that back in here, but I don't want to. I have one more acquisition, and this was one of those, like, you're not supposed to be buying yarn. You're not supposed to be buying yarn. And then right before I fell asleep, I was like, no, I want to. I grabbed my phone and okay, I bought it. And I didn't read the description either, because I got a weight. I thought I was buying a different weight, and I'm happy with it. But this is one of the dyers I absolutely love the best. So this is Kindred Red. So she had an update, and I got, this was a kit. So this was one of her mitten kits, or figureless mitt kits. This is Clementine and Amalia's Dahlias. And this is sock. I thought I was getting DK, which is fine. Totally happy with it. I actually think, I know I say this a lot, but I actually think this would make an amazing muscle burra. Like, that would look so cool. That would look so cool. I know I already have a neon pink muscle burra, and I also know that I told myself no more muscle burras, but oh, it's so good. So I don't know, we'll see. I don't have any immediate plans for this. This could also just be socks, because it is sock yarn. It's folk socks. I think it's 100% non-superwash merino. So it feels like it, but in a good way. Like, it feels woolly and squishy. So I'm happy I was able to snag some of her yarn, because I really like her yarn. I love her colors. I was going through some of the stuff I knit last year, and I made a Sunday shrug. Was that what it's called? Friday shrug, Sunday shrug, whatever the first one was. And I made it with her yarn, and I don't like it, and I don't think I'll ever wear it. And so I'm debating, like, should I just rip it out and save the yarn? Because I really like her yarn, and I might do that. But that's it for this week. That actually went way faster than I thought it would. Yay, I didn't talk too much. Sorry, I thought I just found another whip down there, but I didn't. Okay, so I already talked about one of them, but I have like 2 goals for this next year. And I'm making these lightly because I think last year, I don't think I met any of my goals. Like, one of my goals was to learn brioche. Haven't done it. And the other goal was to steek a sweater. I still haven't done it. I still have my shift again back here. I just haven't had the like drive to work on it. I think all I have left are sleeves and then steeking. I just haven't felt like it. So I will do it at some point, but it's just not high on my list right now. What was I gonna say? So yeah, I'm making these goals lightly because I'm not going to make any goals for like specific things I want to knit this year, because I think that for me is very much like what is inspiring me in the moment and what's giving me joy in the moment. I just remember this. My niece's birthday party is in 3 weeks, 2 weeks. And I got to knit her a sweater, which means I have to find the yarn that I'm going to use to knit her a sweater, and I don't remember where I put it. Thankfully she's still quite petite, and so it should go quick. But yeah, so I think I'm just gonna, this year I will just knit what I want to when it's time to cast on, and if I don't feel like it, I won't. But I would like to kind of try, at least, we'll see, to kind of rein in the number of whips that I have. I feel like I did a good job of that over Betwixtmas. Kind of, I shrunk my whip pile. Now, if we're not counting blankets, okay, I have 3 of. Yeah, if we're not counting those, I think I've got like 5 active whips. So, and that's reducing it. I think I had like 11 before. So I made progress. But yeah, so I'd like to keep my whips under 6 for the whole year. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I'd like to try that. I'd like to really try to spin more. I think the fact that I was able to get a sweater's quantity out of not that much fiber, or not as much as I thought I would need, was really encouraging to me. So I've actually pulled out 3 bags of fiber. I was in the Nest Yarn and the Hello Fiber clubs for over a year. I think I've spun 2 bags. So I have so many bags of fiber. Like, my attic door is like right over here, and that's where I store it all. I've got 2 tubs full of fiber that need to get, actually, and I have more than that because I have some in another bag. But I pulled out 3. They're different fibers. They are different colors, but I think they go well together. So I think I'm gonna do a combo spin and just do a 3-ply this time, and maybe get like a DK to worsted. We'll see, and then do another sweater. That's my goal. We'll see, but I think I want to start that this weekend. But I want to spin more, so I want to knit 12 socks. I want to spin more. I want to keep my whips under 6. And then another goal I have, unfortunately it does involve a whip, but I have, every time I finish knitting something, there's almost always some leftover yarn, and that all gets stuck in this dresser I have over here, and I'm running out of room, and there's so many good yarns in there, so I don't want to throw things away. I don't like that idea. But one of the things I've thought about consistently is to do a crocheted granny square blanket. I like crocheting granny squares because it's very simple. It's something that it's a different motion to knitting, so sometimes it's a good break from knitting. I also hold the yarn in my other hand, so I hold yarn in my left hand when I crochet, so again it's just a good like change for my joints, and I think it's a good brain change too. So it's also something that I could literally just do 1 to 2 stripes on and be done. Like I could put it down and then come back and know where I am. But I was thinking about just grabbing a ball, crocheting through it, and then grabbing another one and crocheting through it. And then I like that too, because then I'll get a blanket of like scraps from projects I've made. So like it's kind of like when people make quilts out of the leftover, or like their old clothes. Like I don't know if I have it. I think my mom has it. My grandma did that a few times, where she would take some of their favorite clothes that they'd worn out or worn holes in, or too big for, and she would cut out squares from it and then make those into quilts. And it's really fun because my mom can like pinpoint on some of them, like, oh, that was my favorite little after school dress or whatever. I don't know if it's after school, but it was like, she can remember outfits from it. And I just think that'd be fun in like a knitting way or with yarn to like look back and be like, oh yeah, I remember making that sweater out of that yarn, or remember, oh, that was a gift I gave to somebody and this is what I had left over. So I think that'd also just be a good way to use up a lot of these scraps that I haven't gotten to. So that is one of my other goals. So we'll see though, because I still have 3 blankets on my needles right now. So I feel like I need to finish one of them before I start that. And one of them is a scrappy one right now. So I need to just get that done. It's just hard to motivate yourself to knit a blanket. I don't know about you guys, but like, it just seems so daunting. I think it's easy when you're in the home stretch and you're almost done. But up until then, it feels like a slog. So, all right. Okay, I need a drink. I think that is everything I had on my list. So I am going to film it's not everything I knit in 2023, because it's all the sweaters that I knit that I still have in my possession of 2023. I think I knit 14 sweaters. I knit 14 sweaters this year, which is nuts. Or this last year. Now I went through a t-shirt phase, so a lot of them are t-shirts, but I am going to go through all the sweaters I knit. I was going to include all my accessories as well, but when I was looking through my Ravelry page, I realized that most of the accessories I make, I give away as gifts. So like, I knit a lot of hats that I gave away. I knit some baby sweaters that I gave away. I knit socks that I gave away. And then all my socks are vanilla. Like that is all I have interest in making. And so it's not really interesting to show, here's another vanilla sock. Here's another vanilla sock. And then I have like a hat that you've already seen. So, I mean, you've already seen all these other ones too, but, so I probably won't do accessories, but I will go through all my sweaters. It's a pretty colorful, I'm looking at it over there. It's a pretty colorful stack, which is, I think, really fun. I don't think I have a single neutral. I have one neutral in there. So I'll go through those. I think I'm going to try to film that either tomorrow or Monday and then have it up next week. And I think I'm going to try to keep to a 2-week schedule with podcasting. Just kind of depends on my schedule and what's going on. But I think I should be okay to do that. But I hope you guys have a good couple weeks. I hope you get lots of time for knitting. Yeah, and that you get to kind of, if you make resolutions, that you get to think through your resolutions, or that if you've made resolutions that you're doing good on them so far, or goals, or whatever you want to call them, or intentions. But I hope you guys do really well and have a good couple weeks. I will see you back then. And yeah, you can tell I'm fading because my brain is just like, we're done. It's time to go sit and watch TV and knit. So I'll see you guys back in 2 weeks. Bye.